process. But these are the biggest cost drivers. These are the biggest opportunities to understand where the value add of any technology could be. That's the topic that we want to be able to focus our organization on. Once we've done that analysis and understood how to take it from 25 days down to 10, because we removed all this non-value added stuff, fixed the system issues that was causing all of this, fired the bad contractor, put somebody good, all of that stuff, then we're going to have the 10-day cycle time in this case. This is an example of a transformation plan that says these are the 10 or 12 things that I'm going to actually do. Everything from hiring somebody, training somebody, changing a process, firing a contractor, whatever it is that you decide to do is listed here, including playing around with blockchain, adding artificial intelligence, running an experiment, whatever they are, is listed with owners and the specific timelines and where you are in delivering that particular project. So this is how we actually create that real plan that says, I can fix this distribution problem from here to here and take it from 25 down to 12 days if I were to do these 10 things. Yes?
I wonder how many project managers we have here. And does the chart shows anything close to work breakout structure?
It may look like it, but it's actually not a work breakout because what it's doing is these are independent things. And specifically, for then each one of these, they may be named Agile projects that don't have the PERT charts and the work breakdown structures and all that. Instead, they have the program increment and the backlog and the implementation plan.
And it is a critical path.
And it's what?
It's a critical path.
Basically, yeah. So this is what the output is from that analysis. So we now understand the value stream, basically, and how it's actually going to be improved based on our work. Another concept that you'll hear about is, why is it Agile the only way to do things? I used to do things with traditional methods and waterfall for 20 plus years. Why does everything have to be Agile now? Well, not everything has to be Agile now. The key is picking up or matching the right project for the right methodology. It turns out, if you have a pretty good understanding of what you're going to deliver, if you've done it before, and you know what it takes to deliver it, actually traditional methods are great. They're the best way to do it. You could actually run it in a traditional way, define the Gantt chart, define the budget, and keep to the deliverables, and there's benefits to doing that for certain kind of projects. The problem is that most of our projects are now in this other side of things where requirements are less known or not definable, and the technology complexity has increased. It's no longer simple. And when that happens, you start to find that there's a much better match in Agile approaches than there is for traditional approaches. And that's the difference. You'll find less and less projects that can easily be solved with the traditional approaches. You need to have more versatility, you need to have more reaction time, you need to be able to expect and react to changes throughout the life of the project. This is called the Stacy matrix that shows that. And of course, at this level, where there's no agreement on what the requirements are and complexity is so high, you're just going to have anarchy. Okay? And there's no good way to deal with that. So here, we talk about steps to address uncertainties in digital transformation. So several suggestions here. Articulating clearly what needs to be built to support transformation. Specifically, we need to know who the customer is and what is the value proposition. So segment the customer. Who am I doing this for? Is it for every driver that exists in Uber, or is it for drivers of this sex, this age, and this kind of profession? Do I understand this customer segment I'm doing this for, and what is the specific value proposition? Am I mapping properly the journey of that driver's experience or the rider's experience? Those are key to achieving success. Being able to continuously engage and listen to the customer, both understanding things from a vertical point of view, to how to deliver value, as well as horizontally. Being able to have deliverable chunks of functionality and getting feedback continuously. Also, we want to be able to take that feedback and incorporate it into the project and into the experiment. We also want to be able to continuously and systematically experiment and apply new technologies. Again, architectural spikes and new ways of determining whether an idea can work, new ideas, new UXs, new experiences, and also having rapid deployment of new functionality into production. Those are some good practices that we should consider. This is, for those of you who are familiar with SAFe, as I mentioned, the Scaled Agile Framework methodology. This is the actual roadmap of how organizations usually start with SAFe. So there's more heat coming down the pipe. Is that
We asked them to.
Okay.
Yes.
The one. Okay, great.
They like us either shivering,
Either shivering or no air.
or sweating.
Okay.
So they're fixing.
Okay, great. So should I do this walk around?
It doesn't. We don't have the door stopper.
Oh,
so
okay. I can put this in front of it. If you're okay with it.
Chair?
I don't think that would hold it.
Sure, my work.
That will not hold
Okay,
it.
no, okay.
No, that will not hold. I tried.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. Let me also do another check on here. So we are about 7:50. I have 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
What part of the discussion would you like to delve deeper into? Because what I have left here is a lot of detail about SAFe and Agile, scaled Agile methodologies that I'll share with you, but the framework and why it works and how it works and all that. Is that a good topic to spend the next 10 to 15 minutes on? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And just a comment, we're going to have an access to the PowerPoint presentation, to his presentation. You can download it and study it in more details.
Yep. Yep.
And of course, call him, ask him, send him
Email, please. I'll respond in 12 minutes. So as you can imagine, I'm on the road a lot, so email is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. So this is the process by which we actually start this whole journey of bringing scaled Agile to organization. We've talked about the challenge before. Basically, every organization has these little Agile teams that are doing great stuff, but there's only 5 to 10 people in it. And nobody else can replicate it, nor can they scale it. So there are several methodologies, including the Scaled Agile Framework, SAFe, that tries to deal with that issue. And what it does, really, it takes the basic interactions and ceremonies that you do for a small team, and how you actually develop software and deliver it at high frequency, and just scales it to multiple teams. And then there's enough coordination between those teams to be able to get to a larger initiative that is well planned and well delivered. That's the basic concept. So what do you do to start this process? Usually it starts with value stream definitions. Understanding if you have an organization of 2,000 IT people or 5 different business units, from finance to marketing to logistics, every one of those organizations have different needs. Every one of those organizations have different value streams. So usually you want to start with defining what those operational value streams are. Now what I shared with you is analyzing in detail what you can do to improve them. In SAFe, the way it's used primarily is just to organize our effort. So if you're going to have 10 teams, knowing which teams should be together and put into the same train, what's called an Agile release train art, is how you actually start the process. Deciding what value streams are best put together so that the teams can be all a part of the same train. Okay? So we start with the operational value stream definition, then we decide what systems actually support those value streams that have to be a part of this, then we talk about the people who are going to be supporting those systems, and then eventually here, the development value streams that will have to be used to build those systems, and of course, organizing them into Agile release trains. So when you're talking about the scaled methodologies, all that is taking the ceremonies that work really well at small scale, how we do an increment or an iteration plan, how we do retrospectives, how we do scrums to be able to understand how to improve things. All of those concepts then would need to be taken to the higher scale. This is what's going to help us do that. These are a couple examples. There's 2 kinds of value streams we talk about usually. Either operational, which is about how you deliver your service, whatever you do as a business. The processes that deliver the end result to the customer is called the operational value streams. The processes that support the organization, like HR or finance and all that, are referred to as support value streams. And then finally, you have the development value stream. how exactly you organize your resources to develop the systems or enhance the systems to deliver to certain clients. So in this case, it happens to be employee recruiting. The top one happens to be hospital patient services from the time that they arrive at the hospital to the time that they leave and they pay their bill. Consumer bank loan, from the time that you attract the customer to get a loan from you, to giving them the rates on the loan, all the way to the reward of the loan, and then closing the loan and starting the repayment process. That's called an operational value stream. Okay? So if you have a bank, you may have a commercial bank, you may have a retail bank, you may have a mortgage bank, so on and so forth. Each one is going to have its own value streams. That if you're doing something for the client or for your organization, you want to make sure you understand which part are you focused on. And each one of these value streams is going to have probably multiple systems that support it. For you to understand the value stream, you need to be able to document it. This is an example of how you document a development value stream. We call it the development value stream canvas. And specifically, it has a vision statement, who the stakeholders are, who the customer segment is, what solution is focused on, people and locations, channels, economic framework that you use, and key performance indicators. You want to be able to have a quick one-pager about each one of those value streams. Examples of definitions. This is an example of a consumer loan. Okay. Providing consumers with unsecured or secured loans. The customers are the existing retail customers. The triggers are that they want to borrow some money through the bank. Value received is repayment plus interest. And of course, it includes all the channels, the loan systems, credit scoring, core banking, so on and so forth. So that's how you can actually put on one page the definition of that value stream. And depending on who you are, the question that you would ask to be able to say, what are the value streams that I need to think about? So if you are an independent software vendor, it's really about the products you have. Whatever, if you're Adobe and you create an Illustrator, your value is the software that produces the graphic artist capabilities. So every system or product could be a value stream, as an example. If you're a large multinational organizations, you may ask about key business processes, internal departments that you support, what internal and external customers are supported by you, so on and so forth. So depending on what kind of company you are, what you do for a living, you would ask different kind of questions to define the value streams that are important. This is an example of actually managing and reporting on the adoption of Scaled Agile framework for organizations. These are just examples, I won't get into it, but being able to automatically capture some of this, if you're doing this at a scale of 2,000 people that all have to learn and start to produce and forecast their velocity and produce outcomes, you want to be able to have ways to collect this data, and there's software out there that help facilitate the collection and reporting of that data. Scaling Agile actually allows you, or Scaling Agile for digital transformation allows you to organize and align all of your resources so that they're all headed in the same direction. Imagine having 50 different teams who are not coordinated and trying to produce something that adds value. Almost impossible for many organizations. You want to have a methodology that defines the relationship and the interdependencies and the interaction and ceremonies that are needed at all levels. So a Scrum Master at a team, all the way to a release train engineer, all the way to a portfolio manager. Those ceremonies have to be defined and executed properly. So this helps us to align the team through self-empowerment and adopting the manifesto values and principles, to scale the multiple teams to be able to take over and execute a large-scale transformation, estimating accurately and incrementally for large program increments, being able to deliver valuable chunks quickly. This is one of the biggest advantages of Agile methodologies. It produces value, working software, theoretically every 2 to 3 weeks. You may not deliver it to production, but the idea is that every time you do something, it's producing the value. And that's the key difference between Agile methods and traditional methods that have life cycles that don't produce and deliver anything until the very end. And finally, being able to improve success dramatically by continuing to embrace some of the key values and principles that make it all work, basically. And I'll share with you some of those principles in a second. This is examples of the actual methodology. This is called the Scaled Agile Framework, as I mentioned before. It has several different layers. This is the essential layer. So at the essential layer, you're organizing yourself to have some key concepts already in place for your teams. The ideas of team, and program. So the idea is that there's multiple teams as a part of the program. That's the essential level. At this level, there's going to be basic planning going on for your program increment. Each program increment typically is 2 to 3 weeks, and there's usually 5 increments within 5 iterations, within a program increment. At the end of each program increment, you basically do retrospectives and plan your next increment. And this goes on and on. Again, all part of an Agile release train that delivers against the value stream that you have in mind. So this is called the essential, the basic components. There's DevOps that supports all of this. And of course, all the disciplines that go along with this, the concepts of XP, or Extreme Programming and Scrum, being part of the methodology here, and Kanban. And the key resources that usually are involved are a Scrum Master, Product Owner, and a development team. Basic roles in the team. This is the full framework. So you have the same team and same program at this level. But if you're dealing with a larger organization and larger projects, then there's additional layers of coordination that comes into play at the solution or large solution level and the portfolio level. So at this level, you actually have enterprise architects involved with all of your initiatives. There is direction that is set for the kind of systems you're building, and then there is the budgeting process that supports all of this along with a lean